is constantly present at any one moment. It's always dawning.
Okay, so the the reason I wanted to jump in at that moment is that one of my proudest moments recently was I had a very, very dark image. But I saw it as it was almost a new kind of image, because usually mine have a lot of realism in it. But it's more like a picture of pressure points with this sort of sienna ground. And I was reading it, and I won't go into the details of that particular image at the moment. But the thing that pleased me in the end was that I had reached an ability to just be still and let whatever was going to come from the stillness happen. So rather than seeing dawn on the horizon, in the sense that might be taken, that I had this confidence that something would show up in the image, even though it seemed to be, not too much happening. And then I was really tickled pink, because I thought, aha, that is what Octor did. When he just sat there and he had this kind of sometimes little smile, and that's what he was doing. He was just sitting there looking into whatever it was, knowing that something necessary would show up to pay attention to.
So you had the confidence that the guiding image would be appropriate.
Yeah, that
for that moment in time.
The intelligence would surface out of the image. However, initially it seemed like very misty or muddy or whatever. No, but what I was proud of was that I could say, oh, now I've reached that level of concentration so that I feel identified with Octor in the ability to just sit there instead of panicking and being afraid or jumping around or trying to make something happen. No, just I guess that's maybe why Buddha sits this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've been
yeah.
but I've been pretty jittery and jumpy and go to it most of my life. So this is like triumphant moment when I can sit there like the rain god and hold my hands open, and
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
It seems to me at this point, conscious and unconscious blend together to become one.
Absolutely. I was with this man's friend the other day, and he told me that in quantum physics they speak about superposition. And I thought, gee, that just happens all the time with imaging. That the one image and then another image is showing up through into, so he was presenting it as if somebody had written a book and it was this big deal. And I'm thinking, oh no, those horizons they're emerging all the time. And it's not a blending actually, because the two energy states, if you like, call it that way, they're distinct. So that they're not blending and blurring, they maintain their integrity even in the moments where they have their togetherness.
Okay, I understand that. Yeah, okay, sort of like rain in a cloud.
That's great.
It's the same substance, just in different states. Fog and rain and clouds.
Yeah.
And ice. Interesting point. So, what's next?
Okay, now if we can get back to that, what you were again raising that very interesting question about about how you get somebody into it. Was that it?
Mm-hmm.
And I wish you had put it in a really wonderful way that made me reminded me of the moment that a young man came who had Tourette's, and he had been told that, and when he came, um, his mind was racing so that we just stood and talked for about 45 minutes, and I was just doing my best to keep up with him, and it was took me that long to feel ready that it was time to say, no, would you like to sit down and we'll do an image.
Sure.
And so Austin had once sort of told me about how encouraged me to understand that a lot of it is going by the seat of your pants, by the time, I was going by the seat of my pants with keeping up with him, but on the other hand, I was able to do it because having had Tourette's myself, I could just go through that rapids, I wasn't distant from it. I could, sort of sense what was happening, so I didn't have to be alien to it, So I guess that is the first thing, is being able to be with the person instead of pointing at to them, So that's at least maybe halfway there.
Recognizing, accepting.
Yeah, and then I don't remember exactly how I got him into this, but what he was in very short order. He saw, I don't remember what I asked him to see first. I probably just did the basic nature image because that's the first image in the book that I showed you, and it's you picture yourself in a pleasant spot in nature and experience the pleasure of the pleasant spot, because that image has such validity, and so it takes the person to a place that's important, that has a solution for them, that has a gift for them. And so that's probably what I did. It was quite a few years ago, so I'm not sure. But in any case, it wasn't too long before he was seeing himself piloting this boat. And when he put his hands on the steering wheel of that boat, I don't know if you ever have any idea what Tourette's is like, or manic depression, and he was just beaming, because he knew, what this meant, and he went sailing out of there. he just,
he was in the moment also.
Yeah.
He was still and in the moment. He wasn't so...
Yeah, and so it's not, it's so... When you're with it and you're with the person and the with surety what you're doing because of the clarity of the work that Asen has done, then it's easy to get a person onto an image that's so important to them that they just roll with it.
So what image would you like to see? Or me to see?
Well, it occurred to me to just do the canoeing image so you'll see what it's like to do it fresh. Yeah, why don't?
Okay.
Because I was tickled pink when I thought of doing this image. In fact, it came I was with a friend, and she's somebody who she's done imaging with me. She always got something very good out of it, but for some reason something in her would veer away from it, so she never did it and followed up on it. But every time I'd see her, I'd get tempted, and so when I was with her once, that came to me, the idea of doing a canoeing image. So then subsequently, I don't know, many months or even years later, that importance of that, it had been extremely good. We had a long session, and I thought it had gotten her in touch with her neuropathy in a way that she might be willing to pursue it further. but so subsequent to that, I saw this image of myself, and so it'll be two things at once now. I'm gonna tell
Okay.
you my image, and then I'm gonna ask you to do an empathy image. So you'll get both. Okay.
Good.
All right. So and this is exactly what I did on the video. So then you'll be able to see other people's response to the same thing. Okay.
Okay.
So these images, they do emanate, which means to say that they new aspects of them show up, but they also have a stability, so it can actually go back to the original image that I did with them on the video. Okay, so that's what I'll do now.
Okay.
So I just want you to see what I'm saying at first. All right.
Okay.
So I see myself as a child, little girl of 8, sitting in the stern of a canoe, and I see the paddle is laying across my knees. And as I see that, I feel this squaring off in me, which there's a pleasure in just feeling squared. I guess I'm kind of been very wiggly and wavery, so there's just a nice sense of satisfaction in that way that paddle is just lying there. Then the next thing I notice is that there my feet are on the curved hull of the canoe, and I feel both feet there, and then that squaring off even becomes more complete. So I feel a squaring in the entire frame of my body. And then the next thing that happens is that I call her my wise inner child, Janice. So I see Janice left hand going across, and she has her right hand on the paddle, and she dips it into the water, and she just does one straight, steady, strong stroke. Back. Very simple, straightforward. And then I feel my whole back straighten up, and that straightening up goes all the way through my neck into the crown of my head. And now I feel myself leaning even forward a little. And then I start seeing the edge of the hull of the canoe, and the water beyond it, which I really wasn't paying much attention to before. And then with just a little more breathing space, I see an older me standing in the stern of that canoe, and the canoe is just gliding along. And this smooth gliding, and this just a very pleasing just sense of going along with this lovely inner momentum and going straight ahead in this very sleek way. So that's my image.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it's quite lovely. It's really sweet and soft and gentle, and yet there's such a grounding to yourself in the framework of your seated posture,
So
with the oar across your lap. Okay, and then when you put your feet out, it aligns your body, and keeps you further grounded, and stable.
So can I interrupt you
Sure.
now? All right. So what I just like you to do is let yourself take a couple of deep breaths all the way in and all the way out. Just let yourself do that until you feel yourself settling into your body a little more. Let me know when you feel more settled into your body. Yes, now?
Sure.
So I want you to see yourself in my shoes. Just take that image. I gave you the picture, And now I just want you to see yourself in my shoes and tell me what you're seeing and sensing, and just take your own sweet time in doing that.
I think I have a polka dot dress on, white linen polka dot dress with little strap shoes. First thing I see my slender arms, delicate hands. I can almost hear the wind around behind me and to my sides and brushing across my face. I take the oar, feel the heft of it, the weight of it,
Mm-hmm.
the smoothness of it,
Mm-hmm.
and delicately I lift it up, come over the side, leaning forward and pulling gently, but directly,
Mm-hmm.
smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And as I lean forward, it opens up hope in me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I repeat
Where are you feeling the hope?
the hope in my heart and up through my face and in the future.
Mm-hmm.
It's just generated there as I lean forward,
Mm-hmm.
trusting life ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
That was the image I had there.
Mm-hmm.
So as I stroke, I'm expressing my energy to do that, to be there, to be present and try. And yet let go as I withdraw the paddle. My energy wanes from that stroke, and I place it back in, and I give more effort to it. I'm expressing my desire for more.
Mm-hmm.
And then you express the horizon. Before I go there, I can see the surrounding trees and the placid lake, and the clouds are reflecting in the lake.
Okay, so I'd like you to
Mhm.
look at the lake and ask your
Mhm.
body, where is that touching me? How's that moving me?
Just gentle sway.
And now look at the clouds reflected in the lake and ask yourself, how's that touching me? How's that moving me?
I feel light in weight,
Mm-hmm.
delicate.
Mm-hmm. So keep looking as you have new features showing up in the image, and just do that each time. You see that each new aspect of the image has a different energy in it. So just look at the image and ask your body what's happening. Keep going at your own pace.
Well, there's power within the clouds, and they're changing.
So when you say there's power within the clouds, how's that registering in your body here?
I feel an inner current through my chest, welling actually from the bottom of my rib cage up in through to my heart. And into my arms. Okay, I can feel my biceps, my shoulders, my chest, my back. Just a gentleness. There's an image like a letter V out ahead through almost a fjord that's well ahead in the distance. And I'm drifting that direction. Like there's a current.
Okay, again,
And
so
pulling
as you
me.
feel
I
that,
feel-
see in the image that you're drifting in that direction, notice exactly what's happening in your body here.
I feel I'm being pulled into this direction. Not just parts of me, but all of me. Like I am the weight of gravity moving that direction with that flow. Not unpleasant. It just feels heavier. And if I hold back, it feels heavier still. So it's easier to just go with that stream, that flow. And the V remains constant. It's not getting closer, it's just there. And I can see the water on my sides. Now there's a little rippling to it. And the light dances, and it's pleasant.
Okay, so there's, when you see the rippling, that's one thing, and see the light dancing, that's two different things. So notice the different way that plays in your body. First of all, the rippling.
Feels choppy. Reaction. I have to respond to it. Like a hand coming towards me. And it has an open palm, and I can feel it going past me, but not striking. Just Again, the choppiness, unsettled, not afraid. It's smooth now. And lighter, I felt a heaviness in my chest, now it's relaxed. And I'm just in still, calm waters, just moving, not so much being drawn.
What about the light dancing? Can you see the light dancing again?
When it was dancing, it felt good. It felt pleasant. It felt there was life there, alive.
And how did it touch you? How did it move you?
And it was warm. I felt that was the real energy pushing and pulling.
So I shouldn't be putting that in the past tense, because we need to do this in the present tense. So as you see the light dancing, can you go back to that? See the light dancing in the present tense now, and again see exactly how it's striking you?
It's like little feet dancing on the water. It feels very light, like I can jump and dance on my toes. Put my arms out and spin around. And just like an angel. Arms up, pirouetting. Spinning.
So you can see how we're these chords of all these different energy fields, and what it contributes to us to become aware of it instead of glossing over it all.
I just like the gentle flowing forward. Almost as if it's two hands coming together at their fingertips, palms apart. And my arms are stretched forward towards that fjord. And my arms are the sides of the mountains.
So give me a minute. Let me see whether I have an empty image for you. It's like my mind is really taken by that idea of your, all of a sudden your arms are the size of a mountain, and that takes me to the hills of Vermont where I was in college, and never, I never thought of being that close to them or being that much a part of them, but when I heard you say that, I thought, gee, that's possible. So it's a nice enclosing feeling, and that's, I guess I haven't had much enclosure in my inner space, so that's very very interesting.
Well,
so you see how it goes. So I just, before you comment again, I just would like you to just have another experience of just responding directly to my image, an image,
okay.
rather than comment, because it gets better the less you comment it, the more you just share the visions.
Wow. The Vermont hills. I see them as green and as golden and reds. Velvet. Just sweet, gentle, rolling, almost like the earth is laughing. No, it's bubbling up. It's playing. It's like these are its cheeks.
As soon as you mentioned color, then the Vermont hills and color came right up. There they are.
There they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marvelous. All right. So. Okay. So where would you like to go from there?
Well,
You see how, I guess I may like to ask you, just with that first experience, what, let's say, difference, or what what is different to you, or what stands out for you as in this way, seeing this way as distinct from what you're used to?
well, it's a quicker process. I feel unencumbered to go forward in life, to move into that unknown with less fear, as I have my bow with a lot of strength and warmth for everybody out ahead. That's what comes to
That's very interesting, because I sensed that before, several things you said indicating that something was difficult or takes a lot of time, and there is just an immediacy. I mean, obviously there's terrain that may take some negotiating, but essentially it is just
straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that came forward very quickly as as I heard you lean forward as the little girl, the child. My immediate image was letting go, and there was something pulling. The gravity of it was natural.
Yes, exactly. And so that's what we don't know, is the inner momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, when sometimes you start with people and their images are frozen, and you need, to work with them a little, because these images are there. Whoever we are, we couldn't make it around the bend without them. So it's that, whatever our teaching, um, froze us. And so the subtitle of his book, The Surrealist Manifesto, is Liberating the Images in Consciousness. And if that's one reason I went to work in prison, aside from that, Alice Miller wrote her book about prisoners of childhood, and I certainly was one of them. But also, I had that affinity with, trying to help people get out of there,
Mm-hmm.
and this shows you into that's just humming along in us, and yeah,
A
and
word comes to mind,
Mhm.
and I love this word. It's harmony.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
On any musical instrument that I know of, there are octaves and the harmonics of that instrument.
Mhm.
And when a harmonic, like on a guitar, if I just stroke that note
Mhm.
to where the string is perfectly balanced, it will emit the harmonics and free them.
Mhm.
And they come pouring out
Yeah. Mhm.
of the instrument
Mhm.
and stay there settled. Stay settled in themselves, the harmonics,
Mhm.
as it moves.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a very nice way of putting it, because you'll see in the video that with Jan and that is different aspects of the image come into play, and just to apply your word harmonics to that, because again it is, that it's part of their whole picture, then their whole picture is becoming part of the other guy's whole picture, and my whole picture, and so this wholeness, but to put the word harmony around it is to express the nature of that wholeness in a very nice way that's not so cold as, let's say, the word holographic. It's like it got more welcome to it.
Well, it's an open note
Mhm.
that is whole
Mhm.
in and of itself.
Mhm.
And when it's released, it just expands out to whatever.
Yeah, and as you say that, I see now why the way people play those bells,
Oh,
and
yeah.
or ring, that's that opening out as the sound ripples through the air. That it's invoking this sense of inner space
Yeah.
that we live in,
Yeah.
and so that I see now better why they do that.
So it's so important to settle in during life and get away from, as you say, and create time for a way to balance the two. I may need this in my life for a period of time called work.
Yeah, but for a little period of time, because the thing is,
because this really is what I'm all about.
yeah, and what is really absolutely crucial, the word settling in now. I heard this extraordinarily beautiful woman reporter, I think from the New York Times, very open-faced, gracious. You just don't see people like that on TV. And her mission had been to interview these pre-terrorist kids. And what her general conclusion was, she cited one who lived alone, and all she did was she would go to the mall, and she would look into store windows where all these things she couldn't afford to buy.
Mm.
And so the woman just, her sense about these people is that essentially that they live with this emptiness. So if you think about that, I mean, they're wide open to have somebody come with their hatchet and their Halloween costume, right? I mean,
That's
there's
really profound.
and I just want to finish this
Mhm.
point that when you start imaging, I just, especially the dancer in me, but I just drill people on where is it happening, how's it touching you, how's it moving you, so they are immediately opened up to having a more sensate experience and a more substantial sense of themselves. And so that, most people don't have any idea what the hell's going on in here. They have no inner picture of themselves or anybody else. So it's, what is it? Is it hell? Who knows, But as soon as you start doing that, you realize the very real substance of yourself and look at these inner landscapes. How many did we go through? Right?
Yeah,
And they're in
quite a few.
they're
Yeah.
in us, right?
Yeah.
We don't have our little gadget, right? And so what I think, the way you put that about settling in, that this work is absolutely all important to get rid of all the problems that we have with all the violence arising from all the emptiness, because somebody separated our minds and our bodies so we don't know we have any substance, so we can just let all the violence come in. We have no inclination to resist it. Matt reminded that Dr. Austin once said to me, I would have been better off if I was beaten. And that's kind of, what the hell does he mean? But I understand that because my sister was beaten. Now here I got into all this shadowy introversion and scared. My sister, no,
She had a visceral response that she could actually use.
Yeah,
Whereas
and so
you were smothered.
You located if you've been touched.
Yeah.
So, but I just want to make that point because I think that is absolutely major about what this work has to offer, and what my students would say, everybody should be doing this. For if the only one reason, it is this reason. Because you can't have gender wars and race wars and turf. Not when you're recognizing substance in the way that we just demonstrated. Right? And nobody can be that, just ready for the knife.
Well, shut off.
If
they're completely closed off from themselves. They've only been given a little slice of life to live by, and they will never have enough. There is no wholeness to them.
But it's not that. The thing is, they've not been given a chance to recognize it. It's in everybody. When I was teaching in prison, this smart-ass engineer worked in the, I don't know, clerk somewhere, and he saw somebody's intelligence test, and he was so, telling me about how this guy, was there on the intelligence test.
Yeah.
That guy was the Walt Disney of that place. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, So we make emptinesses where they aren't there because of the blindness, the blind in the. But I heard something recently. Some parent talking about adjusting the fact she had 2 autistic children, and she realizing that this was the rest of her life. But you could see that she was opening up to the richness of it, even though of the even though the difficulty of it.
That's
know.
astounding. That's a revelation for her. Yeah. And the acceptance and a kindness and gentleness and awareness coming forward.
But I just really, I think, so grateful to you for the word harmony, because I can see that now. I know that when I went to New London to study dance one summer with Martha Graham and Jose Limon and all that, and I met somebody who was teaching in a camp for the autistic, and I just had no idea how you could relate to that. But now I understand from, it's easier with you applying your word harmony, that people who can take that sort of meditative aspect to it instead of my mother's critical, judgmental, that then you can contemplate whatever, what is the shape of the harmony in that person, and then you're not looking to put daggers in them. It's like you're looking for how to relate to the power in that cloud. Yeah.
Very well done. I think harmonic balance is probably, it has a gentleness. It has, from the bottom of the Grand Canyon to the stars.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no inclination towards antagonism when
none.
you're enthralled with the fascination of the expansion of the depths of the harmony, right? So it's amazing how antagonism just isn't there.
Yeah.
And how many people need to know that?
Well,
But you see, it's not this. You can see that it's not that hard to teach.
no.
It's just they haven't been given a chance, and they don't all have to go to Bennington.
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful moments I had in Sing Sing, I was doing ego imaging, and this fellow, very, very dark, gold teeth, real front end football type, and he saw this eagle, and here they are in this circle of and he starts, he goes into the stance, and it's just straight power. Like when I was working with third graders, they dance when they did their tree imaging dance.
Yeah.
More powerful than anything I ever saw Jose Limon or Martha Graham do. Just straight the power from these images. And so there he is. If you can imagine, down in this sort of subterranean hole in this stone. And there,
all it's there to do is beat the person down and keep them under the thumb.
And there he is.
Oppressed,
and there he is. And he did
flying.
it with all those other guys around and everything. He was right? So
that's powerful.
You
image.
just give
That's
you
wonderful.
give that of yourself. You don't have to go through all this other awful horror. No matter how horrifying your circumstances. So you have that to give, and so this work can give people that experience. What are they incarcerated in? A bad marriage, a disease. Where are they incarcerated? Suburbia, and and,
Sure.
and this is it.
Very
this is
freeing.
our nature.
This is freeing.
Yeah, and this is all our nature.
And it doesn't take much to get it out.
No, or to share it and to make it a mutual experience. So that's see, I think that's probably the main thing that I have to offer is, there's a lot of people getting all the expressiveness and that, but what I want is people to see how natural it is for us to share the way you and I are doing. It's not that we're such extraordinary geniuses, right?
You might be. Yeah.
we have just had the openness to experience something, but we're demonstrating something that everybody's capable. It comes to my mind now. Oh God, I went to the top of the Hancock building for a New Year's Eve party once, Well, I went back to Chicago, and this one guy was really sorry I wasn't nice to. In that school, the Latin school, gave this party, and I sat down next to a woman in a very bright red dress. It was brighter than that, and she asked me what I did, and I was in a mood to say, I'm a poet. And she had just told me about, she had 4 children. She looks at me and she said, oh, you're creative. And as soon as I heard her say that, I could think, oh my God, you know, you've got 4 children and you're not?
Right. You recognize that. Yeah.
But here this is. So who doesn't want to know that? So
I would certainly want to know it, yeah.
I think that there isn't anybody who doesn't want to know it, and that's our challenge, is just to make this available in the for people who coming at it from wherever they're coming from. I mean, I came at it. I had my master's degree in writing. I had my BA. I had my father's scientific background, my mother's dramatic background, and my sister's architectural background to go on, and then my own poetry awards. And so where was I going with this? So when I started studying it, I wanted to study it whole hog, and live up to the science of it, in terms of living up to the scientific aspect of my background.
Yeah.
So, and I also wanted to live up to the poetry of it, because Austin's poetry is exquisite, and so there was no dimension of the work that I didn't want to be the conscientious student of. So I took the long way around, but and then I was diligently documenting and all that. But it just seems to me now I'm ready, and that it can be made available to people who don't have to go through all of what I went through in order to be able to get enough of it to really have something to live with. It's like, if you think about it as, kids go to the playgrounds, so they carry their playground experiences with them for the rest of their life, right? So you carried your training for 4 years, right? For the rest of your life. Now, if we can put this out in such a way that we can give people in a certain amount of time something to go with for the rest of their lives, that's it, that it's a dynamic action.
And it just opens up.
Exactly, yes.
It's as if I'm opening up a door, and it's all green out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And light.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Or if the lightning comes, then it charges you.
Yeah, sure.
See, I was
Or the
terrified.
snow.
Dr. Austin asked me to see lightning. I thought, what, you crazy, And I was scared to see the lightning, And then, of course, I started seeing
thunder.
the lightning. And then, once I began to see it, then I began to be interested in the power that it gave me. And,
Very so energetic.
Okay, now I may have to vanish for about 10 minutes.
I may have to vanish into there for a moment.
Okay, but
Okay.
oh God, no, I don't have to answer this. No, I don't.
It's 5 o'clock.
Okay, so now I have to figure out how to turn this off.
Okay.